Good evening. Good evening. We are about to get started. Hallelujah. I hope that you are doing well. I know some of you are on. Go ahead and share tonight. Tell somebody else that we are on. We are about to go live. Welcome to another Thursday night. Welcome to Daybreak Women. Thursday night equip. I wish I had people in the room with me who would be excited with me on tonight, just because I'm excited to be on. And I know that tonight is going to be a blessing for so many. There are some of you tonight that are on, and you know someone that desires motherhood, but it hasn't happened for them yet. Share tonight's link. You may know someone that is struggling with issues concerning fertility. Share tonight's link. Listen, just share it to help educate others, but also not just a matter of education. We want to inspire someone today to know that God sees you, God knows you. And listen, God uses so many ways to bring about the blessings that He has for His daughters. And so I'm excited tonight. We have a Sister Schivane that's coming on in just a moment. But I want to make sure that you are sharing and telling other people, come on tonight, come on tonight. And so I made sure I shared. Did I share? I shared. There we go. So make sure we are sharing tonight. And 1 second. I done did all my sharing. I hope that you have done all your sharing as well. So listen, we're going to get started in just another moment. Last week, I had Dr. Damali Campbell on with me, and we really talked about just some of the challenges in women's health concerning reproduction. And one of the things I said on last week was to be open to the ways in which God might bring childbearing into your life. If you're a woman that says, you know what, I'm married, I've tried, it's not working. Or maybe you're older in life, you're older woman, and you are waiting on God for that spouse, and you're exploring what are your options going to be when that time comes. Listen, I want to clarify something tonight. When I talked about being open, I am never ever talking about going against God's will for your life, okay? I hope you know that about me by now. I believe in honoring the Lord, but I also believe that even in marriage, that the Lord can use medicine to help. The Lord uses medicine in so many different ways. And I don't want to jump ahead because we're going to talk about this tonight. And so again, go ahead and share. Hey, Tawana, God bless you. I see. I'm so sorry for the loss of your uncle. Father, I pray that you would strengthen Tawana, strengthen her family, grant them peace. God, be with them, comfort them, Lord, in the name of Jesus. And God, give this family every single thing that they need. Sis, we'll continue to pray for you. Hey, Sister Edna. Hey, Marion. Thank you for tagging all those folks. Hey, Colleen. Hey, Dr. Carol. Hey, Miss Dawn. Everyone else who was on. Hey, Nenny. So glad you tuned back in this week. And everybody else that is on, say hello so I can say hey back to you. But we are going to get started. So I hope you are ready. And if there's someone on that you normally see on that is not on yet, nudge them, tag them, and say, come on, hop on tonight because this is going to be good. And so I'm bringing up my sister friend. Here we go. Hey, good evening. Hello, welcome.
I can't hear you.
You can hear me? No? Let's see. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Y'all on the chat, let me know if you can hear me well. Can you hear me? Hear me? Still silent? Hello?
Hold on. Why? Do you hear me?
I hear you.
I can't hear you though.
Let's see.
You can hear. That's
So
so weird. I can
they
hear
can
you,
hear
and you
me.
can't hear me. Okay.
Take it out.
Should I? Should I leave and come back?
I don't. Did you have those on before?
I can't hear you at all.
Okay. Try.
I don't know what's happening. Hold on.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Just give us a few minutes. Yeah, it's on her end. We'll figure it out. Give us a few minutes and she'll jump right back on. Listen, if you have any questions tonight, make sure that you are live in the chat. Chime in with your questions. Anything you want to make sure I bring up. Let's see, she's back. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear.
Hallelujah.
The devil ain't gonna win the day,
No,
okay?
he's not. Listen, thank you so much for coming on.
No
Y'all,
problem.
this woman was she just told me that she was in the hospital yesterday. So I'm honored that you still made it on here. Many would have said, sis, we're gonna have to do this another Thursday. But I'm so glad that you pressed and you showed up on tonight. Listen, I know that I remember we met each other years ago, lost touch, and then I ran into you when you were at your
I
former house of worship, right? At your former church. I ran into you and we reconnected in that moment. But I remember watching your journey through social media. And you have been a person that has been very public about what you've experienced, very public. Because, and I know none of it was to show, but to encourage other women. And we know, you and I both know, that the matter of fertility, IVF, anything like that is really not discussed in the church.
no, it's not.
It's not discussed in the church. All we talk about in the church is just pray and trust God. But the interesting thing is that we talk about everything else. We talk about taking your medication. We talk about exercise. We talk about everything else. But when it comes to women's fertility, we're scared to talk about this other side. And so thank you for coming on tonight. So would you start us off? Introduce yourself. I know that you are a doula. You are you're a founder of More Than a Mother. Tell us who you are.
So first of all, foremost, my name is Schivane Bonhomme. I am a wife. I'm a mom of three by the grace of God. I am the founder of Dear Sis Believe Again, who we did the More Than a Mother brunch. We had our amazing brunch this month. Um, I am a doula. I'm a speaker, but I'm ultimately just a child of God. I'm just a child of God. I'm just a vessel, just trying to do exactly what He has called me to do. Um, I know that God has definitely put like He's given me a ministry to help women and to utilize the stories and the different things that I've gone through, not just for me but for other people. And I know infertility was one of those things where I thought that my life would pan out a certain way, and then it didn't. And my faith was shaken a little bit because I
Yeah.
didn't understand. Because you hear, be fruitful and multiply, do the things that your body was created to do, and you don't think that you'll get to a space where your body won't do the thing that they tell you that it was created to do. So,
Yeah.
speaking about infertility is one of the things that I am very proud to always do and to always share, especially in Christian settings, because I know that it's something that is frowned upon and not talked upon,
Yeah.
talked about. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have this dialogue and this conversation with you, to bring enlightenment, to educate, and also to empower women that you can take action, but yet still trust God at the same time.
Amen. Amen. And I'm going to echo that. You can take action and still trust God at the same time. So let's start. You ready?
I'm here for it.
All right. So when did take us back to when you first desired to become a mother? Was that in the early stages of your marriage? What did that look like for you?
No, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. Before I knew I wanted to be a wife, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And that is like the God's honest truth. Like, I remember as a child, like, my mom used to always say that, like, oh, you would always hold the kids and play with the kids. And it's like something nurturing about you. Like, I always had a desire to be a mother. That was never something that was a question for me. But I knew that, of course, like, okay, God, I know I want to be a mom, but I have to trust you to bring my partner. So when God brought my husband into my life in 2011 and we got married in 2015, we both had a strong desire and knew that God had called us to be parents. And we thought, like, after we got married, things would happen how they're supposed to happen. We do all the practicing and all the things. But nothing happened. And we were like, wait, we're not preventing. So we didn't understand that. So it was hard for us. Like, we just kept trusting God, but doing the things and hoping that it would happen. And then it just kept not happening. And then when I remember us making an appointment to a doctor who was a OBGYN and an infertility doctor, and we were just like, okay, it's not happening. And then he was like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, you're actually pregnant. And I'm like, pregnant? But
So how long? So you went to the doctor, you find out you're pregnant. What was the space and time? How many years? How many months? Oops, that was me. That was me. I did that. Sorry.
it's okay, it's okay. When we found out that we were pregnant that time, we had miscarried. So it didn't even, like, it was like we were pregnant and then we miscarried. And that was like in 2016. So we got married in 2015, and in 2016
Yeah.
we found out and we had a miscarriage. And then from there we just didn't get pregnant. Like, we didn't get pregnant, and we kept um we kept having miscarriages from 2015 to 20 we had our daughter in 2019. So we were dealing with infertility from 2015 to 2018 until we actually had her. And we decided in 2017 to actually go see somebody because I had the conversations with my OBGYN, and she was just like, I'm not really sure what to tell you. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what to tell you. So we went to who she had recommended, and I knew that God sent this doctor to me. Like, this doctor was just ordained and put aside just for me.
Wow.
Um, and I echo her name, and I recommend her at every stage, every space, every opportunity. And I always thought, oh, I need to find a Black doctor. No, she was not a Black doctor. She just was a doctor that saw my heart, and she knew. She explained everything, and she cared, and that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Um, and her name is Dr. Sarah Hessler, and she knows, like, I rep her hard body because every single person, and I think at this stage I've had maybe 20 people that I've referred to her. More than half of those people have left her office with all great experiences, all carrying children. And that's not to say that she did it or that IVF or IUI did it. It's just saying that they found someone who heard them, that saw them, that took care of them and helped them along their process.
Wow.
Um, so I never like to say, like, oh, IVF is, IVF did it or medicine did it. I like to say that God used that avenue for us to have our daughter. And I think that's the complexity with Christians. They believe that, we're playing God when we go through um, IVF or IUIs, but we take medicine when we have headaches. You
Yeah.
have high blood pressure, you take your medicine, you go to the doctor, you get your checkup. So I'm not under I never quite understand when people say we're playing God, because there are no guarantees when you do IUIs or IVFs, like they tell you. There is absolutely no guarantee. So throughout the whole process, we're trusting God through every hormone shot, every pill, every, like, in that process is so strenuous. It's so much to go through, so much on your body. So without God, I would never have made it through that process at all, because the
Yeah.
amount of hormone, like the hormonal imbalance that is happening in your body is ridiculous. So I know me, myself, and my own strength, I could have never gone through that without God.
Did you ever did I know so it was about a year after getting married before you started talking to doctors, and
Hmm.
eventually you found Dr. Hessler. At any point did you have like this contention in your faith regarding should we do something or should we continue just to wait and see what God does?
Through the whole process, because you kept hearing people tell you, oh, just pray about it, trust God, like God is going to make a way. Like they always told us that, oh, you just need to keep trying. I've had women, and I come from a Haitian background, so I had women when I wasn't getting pregnant that would ask me, do I sleep with my husband at night, like
Wow.
am I like, is everything okay with me? Like it was really hard, like going through infertility and being in the church at the same time, because people just question, like, is there something broken with me, or was I not doing what I needed to do as a wife? And then what was our prayer life, or like were we being punished for something? And that's not the point. The point that I think sometimes what people don't realize is that we're not all the same. Some people are able to get pregnant with no problem at all. Some people, they may have different complexities within their bodies, with either with male or female, because infertility is not just a woman issue. It can be very well a male issue. But the whole period of time we were struggling. It was like a back and forth with God, back and forth within our faith, because we were not quite sure if we were doing the right thing. We weren't sure if, you know, are we going ahead of God? Are we playing God? Are we like are we moving his hand to do something that is not of his will? But one thing I will tell you, as a person who has had 3 IUIs and 2 IVF transfers, I will
Can
tell
you
you,
differentiate between IUIs and
yeah.
IVF?
So IUI is just an insemination. They're inseminating the sperm inside of you. IVF is when they actually take the sperm and the egg and they're fertilizing it outside of your body and then placing it inside and hoping that you get pregnant.
Yeah.
IUI is just more like, they're just inseminating the sperm just as if you would do when you're having like intercourse,
Mhm.
but they're actually cleaning the sperm, removing a lot of the things within the sperm so it can be its most vital to go inside of you. And then before they even do that, they test the sperm to find out the mobility of the sperm and make sure that everything is moving how it needs to move before they inseminate it. But we went through those. We went through 3 trials of that, 3 cycles of IUIs, and then we did the IVF, because at first we were just like, we don't know if we want to do IVF because of all of the horror stories we heard and all of the things that people would say. And a lot of it were true. It is a very tough process,
Mhm.
mentally, physically, and spiritually. It is so hard. And the
Yeah.
thing I think that's hardest about it is that we didn't have a lot of people to talk to,
Mm.
because people didn't understand, especially in the church. People didn't understand. I had people ask me, why would I do this to myself? Because um, uh, I went through something that's like, how sometimes you go to a doctor and they're explaining that 1% of something that might happen to you, or
Yeah.
that very small chance of something happening to you, and they're like, but we just got to tell you just
How to
because
tell
it's a
you.
small chance. And then you be like, wait, ain't no way I ain't gonna be that little, like that 1% chance. Nah, I am always that 1% chance. So I always have to listen and like, what'd you say? So there's something called hyperstimulation that happens
Yeah.
when, so I hyperstimulated to the point where my stomach looked like I was about 7 months pregnant. It was filled with fluids. I couldn't move. I was hospitalized. I was in so much pain. I didn't know what they didn't at first. They didn't even know what to do with me. Like they just kept monitoring me in the hospital until like they finally drained the fluids, and it was like gallons of fluid that came out of me, because I I had what was it? It was either, I think it was 22 to 24. Um Now I'm thinking it was more. I don't know why 30 is standing out. It was between 22 and 30 eggs that I had actually fertilized. So I over fertilized eggs, so they all had their own water pockets
Wow.
inside of my belly. So I had to be hospitalized after they retrieved my eggs, so I couldn't do a fresh transfer because of the intensity, like the intensity of pain, and also like all of the fluids that were on my inside. So they had to let me heal first before they can actually do the frozen transfer of the embryo. So I remember going through that process, and some people visited me in the hospital, and they were like, "Is it worth going through all this to have a child? Like, is it worth you doing all this to your body?" And for us, it was like my husband always did a temperature check with me. Like, are you okay? Like, we can stop this at any point in time. Every shot that he had to give me, like and then I remember one time a part of my leg had went numb from a shot that we had to take, and then it didn't come back. The feeling didn't come back, and we didn't even realize it came back. It was like 2 years later when that feeling in my leg came back, and but he always did a temperature check to find out, like, are you okay? Like, are we good? Like, we can stop. We can adopt. We can. There are options. Like, like we can foster a child. Like, there are options. Like, we don't have to do this. But I always knew, like, you know what? Because I constantly prayed through the process, not just God get me pregnant, but God get me through this. Give me the grace to get through this process. Give me the strength and the energy, and surround me with the right people that will. Like, I had people when I would miscarry that would get into bed and that will hold me and that would speak life into me. I had people that were like, you know what, you can do this. If this is what you want to do, I'm here. I got you. Like, I'm gonna check in on you. And it's important to have those people with you in that process, and to have a partner or someone, because sometimes people do it alone, but for me, it was important for me to have my partner to do those temperature checks and make sure that I was good, and to go to those appointments, because that's another thing with IVF. You're always at the doctor. Like, you're at the doctor, you live there, to the point where when you graduate and you got to leave after, I think it's like 8 weeks, I cried because I was like, I was used to
You
being
know what to
here.
do on
Like,
your own. Like, why you got this far?
I'm like, no, I've been here almost every day. Like, no, I'm not going nowhere. And then you're sending me off to a doctor that I'm gonna see every few weeks. No, I'm not. But I will tell you that while the process was very hard, I learned so much through it, and it really built up a level of faith, because it it it's not that IVF allowed us to have our daughter. It was that God allowed it to work. And I also believe it was the right timing,
Yeah.
because and my doctor kept telling me that every time the process didn't work with IUIs, because remember, when you go through IVF, they do all of these testings to see what's wrong, what's happening in your body, is there anything off. They couldn't find anything. It was literally unexplained infertility. So usually everybody has like an explanation as to like what's happening, what's going on. I didn't have that. So, you know, I know everybody's experience is different, but like, it for me, it was hard, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. And I'm thankful that we went through the process. I'm thankful that my daughter is here. And then, listen, God opened the door so that I didn't need to have IVF for the other two. They just came naturally. So, um, and I can only just thank God, but I do encourage women to find a good doctor, to find a good support system through the process, and to trust in yourself and to trust in your faith. Like, you deciding to take action and go to a doctor to see what's happening with your body, even prior to getting a partner. I have so many friends that are single that are dealing with PCOS or dealing with endometriosis, and they're like, you know what, I need to know what my options are. Should I freeze my eggs now prior to getting a
Did
partner?
we talk about
Should
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like,
talked about that a little bit last week, but for those who are younger, and because we're getting married later and later in the church, right? To think about preserving our fertility at a younger age, so that we don't have to deal with certain challenges as we get older. And it's, yeah.
I know a lot of people struggle with the concept of freezing your eggs because they're like, oh, I take away from the person that I'm going to be with. I just think that it's just a way of preserving your eggs just in case. Like, because there's so many things that can happen. Sickness can happen. Age can happen. There's so many different factors when it comes to having a child, especially if you're sick. Like if you're going through something, if you have PCOS or endometriosis, or if you're aging, I don't think it hurts to go to a doctor to get evaluated, for them to observe your eggs and to tell you how your eggs are doing. Like especially for people who don't fertilize a lot of eggs, I think that that is a great option as well, for you to find out, hey, what can I do? If is it okay? Like, what is the process of freezing my eggs? And you may never need them. You may never need to utilize them, but I think it would be great. I think it's a great option to have if you decide to go down that route. I think that that is great.
Yeah. So I know you had the experience with your other two children of have,
Naturally.
having them naturally, and then your daughter, whom you love just as much, through IVF. In that journey, because it was painful, did you come out of that feeling or learning something about yourself that you didn't know before?
Oh, I think that, well, all of the journeys were different, and my daughter's was IVF, and the other ones I got pregnant naturally. I think that I've learned something about myself through all three of them. One thing I learned about myself through going through IVF and IUI is the resiliency of women
Yeah,
and our bodies, and how tough and how strong we are. But even while being strong, how fragile we are as well. Um, because there were so many opportunities and times where I felt like, oh, I feel like I am going to break down, and I feel like I'm going to lose it. And I don't think that I'm going to go, like, I'm going to be able to make it through this. And in the moment where I felt like I couldn't make it through it, God gave me this supernatural strength. So I think that I've learned how resilient and how strong and how amazing God is, and how he just knits us together, and he just makes us so one. Like when it says we're wonderfully made, that's what it taught me, how wonderfully made that I am, and that I can do all things. Like I can do all things, that I can do the hard things, that I can do the painful things.
yeah,
And 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 how much, like, I think about the sacrifice and the pain to have my daughter, and then I think about God and what he went through for his son. So it's just one of those things where it's like you really realize like how much, how much it meant for us to actually have children. And but we were also aware in that process that, hey, if it doesn't happen this way, we're okay. We would try something else. And
yeah,
I think that that helped us in this journey of being open minded, of trusting God. And just because a plan doesn't work out the way that we envision doesn't mean that God doesn't love us, doesn't mean that we're not called to be parents. It just means that it might be another way. And we were okay to
yeah.
um to explore those options as well.
I gotta tell you, I am trying so hard not to laugh because I'm hearing my son.
Oh, you hear mine too?
I hear your kids, and I'm hearing my son upstairs crying. And I'm like, but this is motherhood, right? This is
I had put my AirPods, and I'm like, noise canceling. I'm like, I pray they don't hear him, because I literally had to talk with them, and I was just like, give mommy just some time. And then the moment that I close the door, say, Mom, mommy, mommy,
they don't
mom,
they don't have
all
the
the
concept.
things. It's like, this is motherhood. And I'm
This is
like,
motherhood. This is
this
motherhood. And but you know what? And you said something so powerful about learning how resilient you are. And I wanna I think this conversation is so important because we're normalizing discussions around fertility and treating it like any other medical condition. That it is no different. Okay, ladies? for those, and I hope this really reaches some women that are struggling in this area, that there is no shame. None of that. Like, even now, like, we lift that off of you in the name of Jesus,
Amen.
because it's no different than if you were diabetic, or if you had hypertension, or if you had arthritis, or there is nothing different. But we have put so much shame on women, and we treat women differently because there is a medical condition, for some, and for others it may just be a matter of timing, um, that is preventing that person from being able to bear children. And I can attest to the fact, and when you were talking about how you realize how strong you are, and how fragile our bodies are, I think about me going through the process and being afraid of the needles, right? And that whole thing. But then when we finally got to the end stage, and I don't want to scare nobody, right? But then you have this big progesterone needle, right?
Oh,
We
that
have
was
the
the worst.
it's
That was the worst of them
That's
all.
the worst of, but I took it so well. And let me tell you something, my husband, that's why it matters who you going through this with. My husband became nurse. I called him nurse. He became Nurse Donald. And we got the whole thing under. We knew how to ice, and the heat, and how to apply it. And he was there in those moments when I was scared. And then he was there in those moments afterwards where I'm like, oh, that wasn't too bad, right? And so we're having this conversation tonight so that it's not like this taboo, right? But that we deal with challenges in our bodies, and it's okay to seek out help. It's
It
okay to
is.
seek out help. And so you're a doula, and you work with women. And tell us, some people may not know what a doula is. Tell us what a doula is.
So I so first of all, the reason why I became a doula was because after my process of having a child, I experienced some traumatic birth experiences, as a woman of color. Some traumatic birth experiences that could have literally changed the trajectory of my story. And one thing I realized is that by having somebody in the room that could help me to navigate that experience, but also support me in that process would be vital. And I regretted not having someone in the room with me that could help me and my husband in that process. So I said, you know what? After two traumatic experiences, I used my voice to become an advocate, to speak out, to help change the trajectory and the stories for women of color giving birth in hospitals, because my hospital in particular, it was just really bad, um, in terms of just not being heard, not being seen, which could have just went left for me. And we know the statistics when it comes to women of color, how many women die during childbirth, after childbirth, babies die in the midst of birthing, because of negligence and so many other reasons, so many other factors, especially for women of color. So I used my voice. I became an advocate, but then I realized, like, I need to be more than an advocate. I need to figure out what's happening in these rooms, and I need to be in these rooms to support these women. So I became a doula because I was just like, I need to be in the space. I need to be in the room. And then when I became a doula, I realized, whoa, I found this whole new level of what um, amazing and strength look like by being not the person birthing, but supporting the person. That means, for me at least, that means being there for them emotionally, being there physically, being there through them breathing in, breathing out, reminding them to be present in the moment, tending to them, tending to their family, being there for the pushes, being there, um, when it hurts, encouraging them, dancing with them, and making sure that I'm their eyes and their ears in that moment for them and their family, and making sure that we've answered tough questions before giving birth, so that is not a moment that they're answering any questions about anything. we had a birth, we have birth plans, we have backup plans for things that could go left, and supporting them in that way. And I have had the pleasure of being in um, birthing centers, hospitals, C-sections, and just natural birth. So, but now I'm in a space where I realize that being a doula um, isn't really like, it's like it was like stages that I had to go through, right? Because being a doula is one thing, but when you realize that policies are not changing to really um, allow doulas to help women in the way that they're supposed to, you realize that you need to do more policy work to help change the policies. So that's where I'm at right now. I am working on ways that I can help be a part of the change, so that I can change the experience for women, the birthing women, but also for doulas, so that we can do, and or they can do what they need to do and help women. And I think that that's what God has called me to be. He's called me to be like an actual person that sees a need and figure out, okay, how do I go through things so that I can figure out, and he can help me navigate, how do I be a part of a change instead of complaining about what's not
Yeah.
happening. So I love the doula work, and I love the concept of a doula. And I think that we all should have doulas, whether we're birthing or not, someone who can help us to. Um, and I think that people who are not birthing can understand doulas this way. Someone who can see your dreams and purpose and pray with you and be in the trenches with you and help you birth the thing out that God has planted inside of you,
Yeah.
that can nurture it, that can cover you, that can pray with you, that can empower you, that can tell you the truth and tell you about yourself, but be right there with you. And I think it's important for us to have doulas in all different spaces that we're in our lives and stages in our lives. So, for those people who are on here that are not birthing people, like, I don't need no doula. I think we all need doulas in different seasons that we're in.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a concept for you to actually to think about what a doula actually like is.
Yeah. I think that's something that we can sit with. Using that concept of doula and thinking about mentors and big sisters and spiritual mothers and those persons that sit with you and are really vested in your well-being and seeing you pursue purpose and fulfill the mandate that God has on your life. And so in the doula sense, right, helping you birth, advocating for you, educating you, walking you through the process. And I I I feel like I hope I do that for
No,
some.
I know you do that for a lot more than you probably think you do. Because I watch, just like you watch me on my journey, I watch you on your journey as well. And what you are doing for women is definitely being a doula and being a source of relief, being a source of encouragement, of a safe space for them, somewhere where they feel like they can be themselves and be spiritually fed and not feel like they will be taken advantage of. So I know for a fact, based off of watching you and what you are doing, um, that you are more than what you think you are, and you're doing so much more than what you think you are. And it's all, you haven't even scratched the surface.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's so much, we both love ministering to women, and
Hmm.
there's so much, and I like how this conversation has come full circle about not just birthing natural children and the process for that, whether through natural birth or IVF, but even just when we think about birthing whatever God has put on the inside of us. And you see how even in your walk, there's an evolving happening with you and going into the policy space and seeing, right, and so seeing like a greater unfolding in your life. How can you encourage women? Can you take a moment and perhaps encourage women who are in a place where that, they're wondering, God, do you have something else for me? What else do you have for me? Like, is there anything else in this moment? Or they may not know. Can you encourage in this moment?
One thing I'll say is don't be afraid to pivot. And sometimes we feel like we have to, where we start, we have to finish.
Don't be afraid.
And
Pause. Don't be afraid to pivot. Keep going.
don't be afraid to pivot. Where God play, like where God, like I always think to, like my son just brought home a plant from school, and they started planting this plant at school, and they watched it sprout a little bit, but they sent him home with this plant so that he can repot it so that it can continue to grow in another space by sunlight and with nurturing it. I think that's like us. Sometimes God starts us in one space and He'll allow us to be planted in that one space, but He'll call us to pivot so that we can uproot and go somewhere else so that He can continue to pour in us. And for me, I like to think of it as like I told people at my launch event that God had me in the NICU.
Yeah.
He had me in the NICU for a while. Like when I thought it was time for me to launch out to do the thing that God called me to do, he actually had to keep me in the NICU unit longer so that I can go through some things and grow through some things and get that tender loving care that I needed. And then when I was ready to be released out of the NICU is when I was ready to birth out the thing that he has called me to do, which is creating this safe space for women called Dear Sis Believe Again, which is helping women to believe again, whether it's with love, believe again within their careers, believe again with having children, believe again within finding who they are and rediscovering themselves and pivoting. It's all about that. So I think that for me, I had to not be afraid to pivot, and I had to not be afraid of um, change. Sometimes we're afraid of change so much so that we will stay in a space that we've outgrown or that we're not called to because we're afraid of what's uncomfortable. And God never called us to be comfortable. He called us to places and spaces that are uncomfortable in order for us to grow. And I think that if you're ever in a space where you feel like, oh my God, I know God has so much more for me. Do the scared thing. Do it scared. Because one thing I know is that when you do it scared, you're never doing it alone. You're doing it with God, and He is literally guiding you. And if you're not doing it alone and you have someone that literally has your front, your back, your side, you won't fail. Even if you fall, you won't fail. And I think that sometimes we feel like, oh, if I fall, that means I failed. No, it just means, okay, I fell because I took a misstep. So what can I do better next time, God? Okay, did I do something? Did I go in the wrong direction? What do you need me to do? And I think that if we trust God through the processes, that He will literally guide us. But we just gotta do it scared. Don't be afraid to pivot and trust God and pray through it all. And find you a tribe of women that will walk this journey with you. Even if it's not a tribe, even if it's one,
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
one good sis that will pray with you, keep you accountable, and that can speak life into you. That is so vital. I am in a space of pivot right now, and it's hard as heck. It's so hard because it doesn't make any sense. Like God is literally birthing things in me that makes no sense because, like, just quick example, I just had this huge launch event, and when I started the process, I had finances coming in. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is gonna work because with my money and all the sponsors and all the things, this is gonna work. Then I was placed in a space where I wasn't getting any finances coming in. So I'm like, God, I already started this. I can't
Yeah.
stop. So
Yeah.
what do I do? And God said, keep going. And not just keep going and do it well. And I'm like, but I don't have it. And I don't want to take away from my home in order for me to create this experience, this safe space for women. And God literally, do you trust me? When
Mm,
I tell you, God walked, like, held my hand throughout the entire process where I was left speechless as to what came out of that space because I was blown away because it wasn't an event. It was literally the creation of a movement, but you just saw God's hand all over it. So to encourage anybody that is trusted, that is believing for more, that feels like, how do I
yeah,
trust God? And if God tells you to do something, he is not a liar and his word will never come back void. You can bank on that. You can take his word to the bank. You can't take man's word to the bank, but you can take his word to the bank. And it's scary. It's still scary. I still get anxiety, but in the midst of it, I'm like, okay, God, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with you. And I know that you brought me to it, so you're going to get me through it. So please, God, just give me the wisdom, the strength, and send me the right people.
the right
And
people.
and that's where I'm at. Like, send me the right people. I want no one around me that is not of you and that is not called to me in this season. So remove, replace, and replenish. Do what you got to do. But that's my posture in this season. It's like it can't be nothing else. I have to trust that if God called me to something, that He is going to get me through it, and that he's not gonna be embarrassed, and He's not gonna let me be embarrassed.
And that's the case in every area of our lives, right? That if God called us to something, He's going to see us through it, regardless of what that thing is. He's going to see us through it. And so I love that. I always love, and thank you for saying that tonight. Don't be afraid to pivot because even if we connect it right back, it all comes full circle. If we go right back to the desire to having a child, right? Not don't be afraid to pivot in that there are some people that might be trying naturally and it's not working. Don't be afraid to pivot and go in the direction that God is leading, right? And I think what's so key, and we've been saying on this platform for the past few weeks, is that we never operate from a place of fear, but from a place of faith, knowing that God is with us in every season, He's with us and everything. And if something is not His will, the prayer we always pray is, Lord, if this is not you, God, make it clear, make it evident. Don't it won't work out. And so I'm just bringing everything full circle. That's why something you said earlier was so powerful because you said you don't believe that you had your daughter through IVF, but that God used IVF to bring your daughter. And I had to come to that place as well in my journey because I remember having that discussion with my husband and him telling me, if God didn't want you to have this son, none of this whole thing would have worked out. None of this would have worked out. And so oftentimes when we think about connecting this to our entire life, right? Let's say again, you're like, I'm not even thinking about children, connecting it to your whole entire life, that God is leading us, He is guiding us, He is sending destiny helpers, He is sending divine connections, He's sending people to help bring to pass the very things that are in our heart to do. And so it's funny, it's weird how we end up talking about purpose and doulas and having babies because they both require assistance. We talked about babies and have needing medical assistance, right, to bring forth that which the Lord promised to a person. And now we're here in the tail of it, talking about purpose and connecting and how God will bring people in your life to bring things to pass for you. And the
Yep.
older I get, the more and more and more I recognize that we cannot walk alone.
Nope.
We cannot walk alone. We need help. We need help. And so many of us as women, I don't know, maybe we need to revive that, Schivane. I don't know, some kind of way. The whole I've been saying lately about the whole Naomi and Ruth, relationship type thing. That whole model, which is in the Bible for us for a
It's so
reason.
hard. It's so hard though in this season because, and I speak to so many women, and it's like you'll be surprised how many women are like, say hi. Hi. So many women, this is the middle one. So many women are in a space where they're like, it's like they feel like it's like a competition. It's weird, but it's like it it's it's like they're okay. You want to be picked up too? Okay, great.
Oh,
Everybody just wants to crash. Okay, all right. Okay, mommy is busy. Can you just give me a few minutes, please? Okay.
yes,
All of the children want to star in the show. They all want to star. But I often talk to a lot of women in regards to that concept. And it's like they feel like older women feel like younger women are trying to take their spots and they're trying to
wow,
take their places and they don't feel like there's enough space for them to exist. So I love that concept because I feel like there's so much richness and so much that can come out of that concept. But I think there needs to be like an openness and a like we all need to be malleable and humbled before God in
yeah,
order for that concept to work. Like you actually have to be women that are willing to be selfless in the process. So I think it's possible. I think we can definitely do it. I just think that it's Mariah, please. I think that it's just a tough space. It's just a tough space where people feel like women are not necessarily safe spaces. Like we're creating safe spaces, right?
mhm,
But I find so many women are like they just don't find safe spaces in churches. They don't find safe spaces in older women, and it's hard to think because I know back in the day, our parents used like my parents used to trust the neighbors. They used to trust all of the women back in the day to raise us,
yeah,
like to watch over us. But that concept is so far gone, and I would really love the revival of that concept because there's so much we can learn from the generation before us. There's so much that the generation before us can learn from the now generation.
yeah,
And I just think that if we're doing it together, I think that I think it could be possible. I
yeah.
just have heard a lot of people just not be so open to that process. Hold on.
So I know. Listen, I know your children like, mommy, we need you back now. We need you back. But I so appreciate you talking with me tonight, and I think, and I hope everyone has a different perspective. Um, I hope everyone has a different perspective tonight as we think about how God might use help in whatever area that is in our lives to bring to pass the very thing that He has for us. And I love how we've come to this place of recognizing part of our challenge is that our culture has changed into which we don't help one another like we used to, and in many instances we don't feel like there's space. But I believe, sis, that we could change it.
I'm with you.
That we could
I'm
start.
with you. I'm with you. I'm here for it. I'm here for the challenge. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for it. I believe that, it's not a lost concept. I believe that it can happen. I believe that, we can make it happen, especially in partnership. I believe that we can do it together. So I'm here for it.
Okay. So thank you so much. Tell your children thank you. Tell your husband thank you for giving you a moment. And now go back to them. I so appreciate you tonight. God bless you. God bless you.
Wow. God bless you. Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Thank you. And so, ladies, thank you so much for those who are on tonight, even the gentlemen. Thank you for hanging on in here with us tonight. Sometimes you need help, and whatever that is, whatever part of your journey, whether it's having children, not, whatever it is, please view this differently. My prayer tonight is that we would normalize conversations around fertility and medical assistance, just like We normalized it tonight and talked about it like it was something regular, not taboo, not any of those things. And the more we have these kind of conversations, we'll have more people who are willing to, who recognize, wow, my husband and I have been trying for years and nothing has happened. Let's go see the doctor. The more we normalize these things, the more we recognize that it's no different than any other thing we get help for. The more we do that, the more we'll see. Because, uh, and I told you I'm bringing in my faith and my work world as we think about disparities in health outcomes, especially in women of color, especially as women of color are getting married later and having children later. There's a disparity there because many of us are not aware of, we're not participating in our health. We're not educating ourselves about our health. We just let things go. We wait until whenever, and then we decide to find out about it when it's too late. Let's change this cycle. Let's break this cycle. And so, God bless you. Be intentional. That's right, Dr. Carol. Thank you for that. Be intentional about your destiny. Whatever you believe that God has for you, be intentional about it, sis. Be intentional. And so, I'm looking forward to sharing some great news with you soon. Some of you have asked about we didn't do a retreat this year, but we're planning to do a retreat next year. And who knows if we might do something local this year. And so God bless you all. Have a great night. Thank you. And join me next week is our last segment of this motherhood segment. And we're talking to Pastor Valentina, a woman whom God blessed to have children through adoption. And so I'm excited to talk with her and what her experience was like. Hope you'll join me next week. And if not, tune in Tuesday, 6:30 a.m. for morning prayer. God bless you all.